The left and the Democrats now target Elon Musk and Tesla. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, it's one of the biggest stories, not just in the country, but frankly in the world. Elon Musk has now been transformed from an American hero to this is what he is. He is an American hero to now public enemy number one. And it has just escalated and escalated and escalated. And here is now the absolute latest. And what is to me incredible is even after SpaceX, which as you know, Elon Musk owns, pulled off a daring, frankly incredible rescue of two American astronauts, Sonny Williams, Butch Wilmore, who were stranded on the International Space Station for 9 months by Joe Biden. I mean, frankly, they're lucky to be alive. Elon Musk, as they were marooned on that space station and left essentially twist in the wind in outer space, Elon Musk helped put together, organize, and oversee as something almost out of a Hollywood movie, one of the most dramatic rescues of two astronauts ever in the history of space. And they came home a few days ago. They were rescued by SpaceX Dragon, one of Elon Musk's rockets. It came crashing down in the water right off the coast of Florida. And apparently the two astronauts, look, when you're under that kind of microgravity for 9 months, it takes a toll on your blood, on your bones, on your health. But they are making better, they're improving, their health's getting better, and Trump hopes to have them in the White House soon. My point being, Elon Musk is clearly, whatever you think of some of his views, an incredible businessman, an incredible innovator. He has rescued almost single-handedly the American space program. He is doing, to me, phenomenal work at DOGE, heroic work at DOGE, and he's also one of the key owners and plays a pivotal role in Tesla, which is a great American car company that employs, tens of thousands of American workers and puts out a product that until 5 minutes ago, most liberals and leftists were proud of. They went out of their way to buy these electric car vehicles and to support Tesla because according to them, it was pivotal in combating global warming, climate change, and having a clean energy, clean environment system in the United States. Well, this is all turned now in an incredible feat of propaganda, as the Russians would say, and of misinformatio and disinformatio, of misinformation and disinformation. They have literally turned Elon Musk into almost like a Hollywood villain. The equivalent, let's say, in the Batman series of the Joker. They hate him. They revile him. They can't stand him. They've now turned him into the symbol of everything that is wrong with Trump, with America, with capitalism, with billionaires, with the so-called rich. And so what has now been happening is, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, is an absolutely coordinated, systematic campaign to not just defame, slander, and destroy Musk's public reputation, but even worse, acts of pure domestic terrorism against Teslas and Tesla dealerships. Several days ago, as Elon SpaceX was rescuing American astronauts, left-wing fanatics, terrorists, deliberately firebombed a Tesla dealership in Las Vegas. Most of you have probably seen the harrowing video and the images of Tesla after Tesla after Tesla vehicle literally being torched, being burned as the dealership goes up in flames. But it wasn't just in Las Vegas. They hit Tesla dealerships in Missouri, in Washington State, in Oregon, in places all over the country. On top of that, left-wing Democrat activists have now put the word out. You see a Tesla, destroy it. Tesla cars now are being keyed. Some are having their windows smashed. Others are literally being set ablaze, torched. Tesla's just parked in a parking lot or wherever on the street. And you see these left-wing activists walk up and start tossing a Molotov cocktail, setting the entire car on fire and then running away. Teslas are being attacked. Tesla dealerships are being attacked. And there is open calls now repeatedly for the out-and-out assassination of Elon Musk. And now Tesla dealers are speaking out, saying they are being threatened now by left-wing Democrat activists. Bullets now are being fired at Tesla dealerships. They say that owners of Teslas are flooding their call lines, saying they don't feel safe in a Tesla anymore, that they are now marked men and women simply for the crime of owning a Tesla, which, by the way, most of the owners of Teslas, not all, as an example, my nephew, Matthew, has a Tesla, loves it. He's a conservative. He's a Trump supporter. Young kid. He's 23 years old. But, he loves Tesla, loves Elon. So I'm not saying all Tesla drivers are liberals. It's not true. But for the most part, many of them have been Democrats or liberals, thinking they're doing their part for a so-called clean energy future and advancing the green agenda. Well, liberals are now turning on liberals. Democrats are now turning on Democrats. And if a Tesla is spotted, it is being shot at. It is being set on fire. Tesla dealerships now are under assault. You now have coordinated protests where they are literally mobbing Tesla dealerships, infiltrating the dealer, going inside, making it impossible for the dealers to even sell their cars or even function because they're constantly under siege from constant protests. Attorney General Pam Bondi has now said this is unequivocally domestic terrorism. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino now says the FBI is throwing considerable resources at finding out who's behind this systematic terrorist campaign, and they are vowing to make arrests. Listen now to Elon in an interview on Fox saying, I don't understand. There is something evil. There is something deadly wrong, almost mentally ill, that is now afflicting many on the left. They are obsessed with hatred and violence, and they are now turning and lashing out against me and for some reason against Teslas. What has Tesla, the company, or Tesla cars or SUVs or Cybertrucks, what have they ever done to anybody? Roll cut 17A, Mike.
I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just, smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged... there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's Trump.
Yeah, and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it.
Well,
because
George Soros.
This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
George Soros. It's come out now. George Soros and his son Alex Soros are the ones now who are follow the money. They are the ones who are funding this anti-Tesla, anti-Musk campaign, this domestic terrorism. and they're the ones who are behind it primarily, but it all heads back to the Democratic Party. Democrats are denouncing Musk. They have vilified Musk. They have been lying about Musk. We had a Moonbat caller just yesterday, final caller of the show. And you can tell, I mean, he's bursting with hatred, brimming with hatred for Elon Musk. And he's going on about how Elon is going to cut Social Security. Elon is going to cut Medicare. Elon is going to cut Medicaid. Elon is going to lead to millions of people being out on the streets. As I said to him, I go, Elon has no power. Elon is only responsible for the federal bureaucracy. And even then, he needs Trump's approval for everything. Only Congress can cut Social Security or these entitlement programs, along, of course, with the president. So Elon has no authority or power to do anything of what you're alleging. But it doesn't matter. They now want Elon's head on a platter. And so my question to you, is this domestic terrorism? And why does the left hate Elon so much? 619 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to play a quick cut from Elon. And this is now Elon Musk saying, look, you're a public figure, you get death threats, but I've never seen anything like this. He's getting now round-the-clock, constant death threats. As you know, left-wing activists are not just protesting Elon. And at their protests, they literally are handing out pamphlets calling for Elon to be assassinated with his head in the crosshairs, and calling him a Nazi, calling him a fascist, a threat to democracy, a man who wants to destroy the United States, a man who wants to make Trump a dictator. He's going to, cut all our Social Security, our Medicare, our Medicaid. He's going to put everybody out on the streets. So that basically he's making himself dictator and Trump is his puppet. It just goes on and on and on. And so Elon now says he's clearly worried for his life. He's clearly worried for his family, that this level of violence is escalating and escalating. The attacks on Teslas and Tesla dealerships are now exploding, proliferating all across the country. Listen now to Elon saying it all comes back to one thing. They want to kill me. They want to destroy me. They want to burn down, firebomb, shoot up Teslas and Tesla dealerships because I exposed the rampant fraud and corruption in the government through DOGE. Roll cut 17B, Mike.
Yeah, it turns out when you take away people's, what the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very upset, and they basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud, and they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. And I guess they're bad people. Bad people will do bad things.
Now, I just want to ask a poll question, and then I'm going to go to the phone lines, I promise, because the lines are already full. When the lines are full, I always respect the audience, and I go straight to the calls. But please, give me 30 seconds, because I need to say this. Many of you have asked me over, I don't know how many years now, Jeff, why are the Republicans on Capitol Hill so quiet? Jeff. How come the Republicans never do anything? How come they never speak out? Why are they all so cowardly? Well, now you know why. Because if you actually do challenge the swamp in a real serious way, the way, say, Trump has, the way Elon has, look at the response. Look at the response. If you're Trump, they want to destroy your business. They want to put you behind bars. Hell, they tried to assassinate you, kill you twice. Now they're going to do the same thing, or trying to do the same thing to Elon. They're driving his stock price going way down on Tesla. They're trying to bankrupt him. They're attacking his businesses. They're lighting him. They're firebombing them, for God's sake. And they're threatening to put a bullet in his head. And so he and his family are now under siege, the way Trump and his family have been under siege. That's why most politicians up on Capitol Hill say, forget it. I don't want a part of this. Now, the more cynical, opportunistic ones will grandstand at a committee meeting. You know, the Jim Jordans. Okay, I'll just get as an example, where they talk a big game and they flap their mouth, but they never do anything. And the Democrats say, they're just grandstanding. Let them flap their mouth. They're harmless. Okay? They're harmless. All talk, no action. They talk the talk. They never walk the walk. But if you walk the walk, the way Trump has, the way Elon has, they will destroy you. And if need be, they will kill you. That's why the Republicans do nothing. Because they know what's in store for them. You're going to get the Trump treatment or you're going to get the Elon treatment. And that's why they either hide or they pretend to be tough, but actually don't do anything. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. Should Tesla vandals, those who destroy, firebomb, torch, smash Teslas and Tesla dealerships, should they be designated as domestic terrorists, the way Pam Bondi has, the AG, the way the FBI now under Bongino has, and Kash Patel, and Trump yesterday in an interview said, yes, I want them designated as domestic terrorists. Do you agree? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is a national ER. You can also vote via X, very active on X. And we're going to, by the way, we're going to put up our brackets for the NCAA March Madness College Basketball Tournament. Yeah, those are also up as well. Yeah, right there on X at the Kuhner Report. KUHN is a national ER at the Kuhner Report. So you can take a look at my bracket, Mike's bracket, Sandy's bracket, and at the end of the show, when the show is over, you can then vote who you think has the stronger bracket and who will turn out to be, the one who can properly assess who do you think has the best bracket to predict who's going to win. So we can have a little bit of fun as well. Let me ask you one final question, and I'm taking all of your calls on the other side of the break right away, I promise. Do you own a Tesla? And has your Tesla been vandalized? I'm just curious. Has the windows been smashed? Or your tires slashed? Or your car keyed? Or have people threatened you simply because you're driving a Tesla? 617-266-6868. Don't touch that dial. Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, already early reaction just from some of the text messages I'm getting. And you can check them out for yourself. Please, Kuhner Country, go right up X, my account, my handle, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUHN is a national ER. My bracket for the March Madness College Basketball Tournament is there, my predictions of how all the games are going to go. Mike has his bracket, Sandy has hers. Already initial reaction, many of you are saying, Jeff, I love your bracket. My money's on you. I think you're going to win this thing. So, we'll see. We'd love to get all of you to weigh in on this. But so far, and this is bugging Mike and Sandy, the Kuhner man, you're liking my picks. So, just before I go to the phone line, 617-266-6868. This is from Mark on Messenger. Jeff, good morning. I have a message to all those morons who rant and rave on Twitter/X, who hate Elon Musk. Instead of burning and vandalizing cars and dealerships everywhere, how about you delete your X accounts? After all, you do know that Elon Musk owns that platform as well, right? You hypocrites. This way, we don't have to see your pathetic posts and childish rants anymore. God forbid you give credit where credit is due. The man literally saved the lives of 2 astronauts marooned, stranded in space, that your beloved senile, demented buffoon Joe Biden couldn't care less about. You know, that's a great point, Mark. To all you moonbats out there, don't firebomb cars or dealerships. Don't start firing bullets at Tesla managers and Tesla dealers. Just get off X. Do that. It's win-win. You protest Elon, and we don't have to listen to you idiots anymore. 617-266-6868. Tommy in Brockton. You're going to kick us off, Tommy. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Wow, I'm finally the lead guy on Kuhner Country.
You did it. You did it, Tommy.
You do know I'm retired, right? I have better things than to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and turn on the Jeff Kuhner show. Hey, okay, so your last caller yesterday called in, and I was glad you let him speak because he lied about Social Security cuts and Medicare cuts. None of that has happened. None of that has been proposed. That is an outright falsehood. In other words, a lie. So with regards to deportation, I am on the USCIS website. What you can be deported for: espionage, terrorism, subversion, public safety, including criminal history and gang activity, risk to intellectual properties, risk to information security, including disinformation campaigns, risk to election security, risk to public health. Those are just a few things that you can be deported on. And I don't understand why Trump's attorneys are not coming out and telling that moron judge,
Boasberg. Yeah, Boasberg.
Yeah, this is what they need to get on national TV and say, this is what you can be deported on. And you're right. What you said about Jim Jordan, you know, he is a paper tiger. I used to think, my God, this guy is fast on his feet and all that. But no, honestly, it's like he's a eunuch. And Republicans have to start fighting back. And the one congressman in Texas by the last name of Gill, he drafted articles of impeachment for that judge. That's what we need as far as Republican leadership, to fight back on this stuff. And when you talked yesterday about the guy on the Supreme Court, it's
Roberts.
early, so
yeah, Chief Justice John Roberts.
They have something dirty on him. There is no question about it. And the other point is that if we go back to when Roe versus Wade got overturned, the assassination attempt on who's the other appointment?
Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh. They tried to kill Kavanaugh.
Right. And you know something? This stuff is working for the American left because if you've noticed now, between Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Bryant, like I said, it's early for me. They're all very timid right now about making controversial decisions. And there is a federal law that you cannot go outside a federal court judge's house, especially the Supreme Court, and try to intimidate them for a political decision. And Merrick Garland, thank God he never became a Supreme Court justice. He would not enforce those laws.
Bingo.
And I will tell you one thing. I called a progressive talk radio host yesterday down in the town of Attleboro. I won't mention the call letters or name, okay? And when I brought up the fact that Teslas are now being shot at in Las Vegas, he went off the charts on me. I don't attack people personally, but man, this guy just went ballistic on me. And it's a public radio. It's a public radio station. And it's like, wow, these people really are nuts. And they can't handle the fact that there is waste, fraud, and abuse. And it needs to be cleaned up. And especially if you're a union member and you're depending on your Social Security, which I am a union member. Obviously, I'm going to depend on that when I start collecting it. And if there are, in fact, people that are abusing that should not be getting it, I would think we would be the first people. Hey, you're not supposed to take advantage of Social Security. You're not legally entitled to collect that.
You nailed it. Look, it may be early for you, Tommy, but you've been on fire. I'm telling you, man, you're absolutely on fire. Tommy, thank you very, very much for that call. No, look, just very quickly, if you cherish those programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, the social safety net, you don't want waste, fraud, and abuse because that's endangering the very future of those programs that people rely on. You don't want illegals collecting checks from Social Security. You don't want people getting 2, 3, 4 checks. You don't want there to be massive waste, fraud, and abuse because then the system is going to go broke. But you nailed it. You said that talk show host went ballistic. He's not right in the head. That's what Elon is saying. He says there's a mental illness now, whether it's now Trump derangement syndrome or now, EDS, Elon derangement syndrome. Okay, well, whatever it is, it's consuming Democrats and the left. And you mentioned that last caller yesterday, a Moonbat. His hatred for Elon Musk, it was utterly irrational. And part of it is being fueled by the Democratic Party and the media. They're claiming, oh my God, the sky's going to fall. He's going to throw old ladies out on the streets. You're not going to get any health care. He's going to cut everything. So they're lying to inflame and defame and vilify Elon. And now look at the monster that they've created. They're fire-burning Tesla dealerships. Teslas are being burned on the streets. Literally, dealerships are being shot up, riddled with bullets. And now they're openly calling for the murder of Elon. Ay, ay, ay. 266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Okay, my friends, Tesla dealerships literally being torched. The big one recently was in Vegas, but it's happening all over the country. Dealerships are being shot at. Tesla cars on the streets are being attacked by Molotov cocktails. Democrats, liberals are just literally just walking up to Teslas parked on the side of the road and just lighting them on fire. Many of them are being keyed. Their windows are being smashed. It's getting worse. It's getting bad. It's escalating. And my question to you, is Pam Bondi right? Is Dan Bongino right? Is Kash Patel right? The FBI, the DOJ are now saying this will be designated as acts of domestic terrorism. And those that are caught engaging in vandalizing these Tesla dealerships or going after Tesla cars will be going to prison 5 years mandatory minimum. So my question to you, is this domestic terrorism? And if you own a Tesla, have you been attacked, or in particular your vehicle? Has it been vandalized? Has it been keyed? Have people threatened you because you drive a Tesla? In other words, they hate Musk, so they hate you for driving one of his products. 617-266-6868. Linda in Medford. Thanks for holding, Linda, and welcome.
Well, good morning.
Hi,
and
Linda.
I have 2 points. One is in response to the Supreme Court, but I called originally. My observation is that a lot of these individuals that seem to rally around the Democratic Party because they're provoked by the mainstream media, by the constant using the billionaires club, as opposed to, say, $240 million for Pelosi. Their individuals always see themselves as being on the outside looking in. And this irrational response to somebody who was for years a big Democrat and a big Democrat supporter is totally over the top. But I believe a lot of it's promoted by people in the Dem parties, particularly the people that have been in power these prior 4 years, and some of the individuals who are high up is in fundraising and maneuvering and strategy. So I don't think this is spontaneous. I think it is something that is very much provoked. But as far as Roberts on the Supreme Court, I don't expect that you would remember, but months ago I called and I got through, and I had stated I had received on my media feed, I think it was at the time Twitter, that somebody had posted a picture of Judge Roberts sitting on a very large-sized double type of chair, warm climate, the windows were sunny, palm trees, and his arm was around Ghislaine Maxwell, and he had a drink in his hand. At that time, I said, oh, this must be some kind of propaganda Photoshop. But now I've started to wonder, and maybe part of the release of the documents has to do with not the celebrities that have gone there, but the judges and people in government.
And the politicians. No, you're completely right.
Yeah.
Look, that's why, and we'll be talking, I think, about the JFK files probably tomorrow, the release of the JFK files. And there's a lot to say on it. But to me, the really big one is not the JFK files, important as it is, don't get me wrong. It's the Epstein files. That's the one we need to see. All of it, unredacted, fully transparent, every single one of them. And that's the one I want Pam Bondi to release. And she's still sitting on those Epstein files. I don't know how many weeks now it's been. She keeps sitting and sitting and sitting. And the public needs to know who went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, who was on that list, who was he blackmailing. We need to know, because I think honestly the fate of our republic may hang in the balance because of it. And to get back to and thank you for that call, Linda, to get back to your original point about Elon, this is clearly coordinated. There's no question. It's coming from George Soros and his son Alex, who's kind of inheriting now the Soros empire. They're the ones who are funding this. They're the ones who are bankrolling this. And it's all going back to the media and the Democratic Party. They've had a coordinated campaign to vilify Elon, to turn him, as I said, into public enemy number one. It's non-stop demonization. It's really, I told you, it's manipulation. It's public manipulation. And liberals, it's irrational. You just say Elon Musk, and they start foaming at the mouth. And they start spewing all of this hatred. And 99% of it is false. He's going to cut Social Security. He's going to cut Medicare. He's going to cut Medicaid. He's firing everybody. He's a bastard. And you're like, he can't touch Social Security. He can't touch Medicare. He can't touch Medicaid. The people that were fired wasn't him. It was Trump who approved it, or the agency heads, the cabinet heads who approved it. He just made recommendations. That's all DOGE can do, is make recommendations. And what did he expose? Rampant fraud. Look, people weren't showing up to work. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of bureaucrats, literally offices were empty. I'm not exaggerating. Entire buildings, offices empty for years. Years. Nobody showed up. And so Elon's like, well, how come everybody else in the private sector has to be back at the office? But what? These government, bureaucrat fat cats, they get to sit there and at home and watch TV all day? Or many of them weren't even working. I mean, even from home. Many of them had second jobs. They're literally collecting a check. They're not doing anything. Or it's redundant. We don't need 20 people. 10 people will be suffice. In other words, like in the private sector, they make cuts all the time. They downsize all the time. Look, iHeart's had multiple downsizings. I'm not criticizing. I'm just stating a fact. Why? You got to be lean, mean, and competitive. If you're costing too much money, you're going to go bankrupt. So this is done in the private sector all the time. What, government bureaucrats are immune from being fired or laid off? I mean, everything they've said about him is a lie. And, Sandy made a really good point to me. All of this began, yes, DOGE accelerated the hatred of the left for Elon. There's no question. But the left began to turn on Elon when he threw his support behind Trump. That's when they said, you know what, you've crossed the line and we're going to make you pay. And Elon turned around and he said, well, you want me to support what, a buffoon like Joe Biden? You want me to support basically a Marxist, a communist like Kamala Harris, who, if she wins, will literally drive the country into the ground? So what the Democrats are saying openly and publicly is, if you challenge us, if you criticize us, if you vote for the opponent, in this case Trump, if you're not solidly 100% on our team, we will destroy you. And we'll use the media to help us do it. That's Elon's real sin, quote unquote, in air quotes. That's always been his sin. This man was a lifelong Democrat. And when he was a lifelong Democrat, they loved him. They loved him. He walked on water. They worshiped him. They used to buy Teslas as a badge of honor. Now, after Trump, he's the second coming of Adolf Hitler. And like this, in 15 minutes, like this. The car hasn't changed. Tesla's still Tesla. SpaceX hasn't changed. SpaceX is still SpaceX. X hasn't changed, except there's now real freedom of speech and freedom of expression. In other words, he's not censoring conservatives, MAGA, pro-Trump supporters. You have an opinion, you can say it. And Elon himself has not changed. As Elon said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And instead of saying, how do we lose a diehard Democrat like Elon, or a Kennedy like RFK Jr., or Tulsi Gabbard, who just 6-7 years ago literally was touted as the future of the Democratic Party. How do we lose people like this? And millions and millions and millions of former Democrat voters, working class voters, suburban voters, black voters, Latino voters, Asian voters, Jewish voters, who all in the past voted Democrats, many of them for decades. But now they're all leaving the Democratic Party and joining the Trump MAGA movement. What did we do wrong? Could it possibly be us? And some of our extreme policies? In other words, don't let the Bills in Sudbury and the Bernie Sanders and the Elizabeth Warrens and the AOCs, the freaking nut jobs, far left, Marxist, communist whack jobs, run our party, because it's going to become an 80-20, 90-10 country, because only really about 15-20% of the country want full-blown communism. So maybe it's us. Nope. It's vilify Elon, vilify Elon, vilify Elon, to the point now that the vilification campaign is now leading to domestic terror. And Elon better have very good security, because I'm telling you, they're going to get him. I don't want it to happen. I think he's a national treasure. I think he's a national hero, but he's got to be smart. They tried to kill Trump twice. The hatred now that you're seeing, and Elon himself has said in multiple interviews now, he goes, I literally now fear for my life and that of my children and my family. They're torching and firebombing Tesla dealerships like it's nothing. They're lighting Tesla cars on fire. There's going to be people in that car. They're going to start to burn Tesla drive. It's inevitable. Some people are going to get burned alive. People are going to get killed. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. That's why the FBI and the DOJ need to move on this immediately. Agree, disagree. Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Roman?
I'm okay. Jeff, a couple points. Real quick, the last caller of the day, and this just goes to the mindset of the liberal mind. He started off okay, point, counterpoint, and then he devolved when he started calling him out on things. And at the end, he was like, oh, really, Jeff? Like, you could hear in his voice the wires crossing and frying in his brain. That is what that's what the left is. Once they hear that dog whistle and they get called out, they lose it. I don't know. It sounds like mind control when you get rebutted, attack. Did it come across that way to you? I mean, that's what I heard yesterday. What has the left created? What is Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Jasmine Crockett and Bernie Sanders, what have they actually ever created? Nothing. All they do is take, steal, rob. They've never created a real job. They've never created anything. And you have a guy like Elon who's done it on his own. He could lose Tesla tomorrow and still probably be the richest man in the world. That's what they think they're doing. They're going to ruin Elon. You're never going to ruin the man who has $400 billion on his way to $1 trillion. He has too much going on. Elon has created Tesla, Starlink. He's developing chips that can make blind people see and crippled people walk. He was the darling of the left. They loved him. He voted for Hillary and Biden, and now they want him dead. Those Tesla cars have cameras all over them. They're going to find a few of these people who did this. The fire bombings. George Soros should be designated an enemy of the state. He should be arrested on sight. He is absolutely, and I hate to equate anybody to this, but he is the devil, or he is the devil's representative on earth. He's definitely behind everything that's going on bad in this country, and it is sad to me. It's absolutely sad to me. It's terrible.
Well, Roman, look, George Soros is a self-identified. He wouldn't disagree with this. If I had him here for an interview, and if I said, you are a socialist revolutionary, he goes, oh, yeah, proud of it. He's a self-identified revolutionary. So he says, no, I want to overthrow entire countries, and I want to overthrow entire systems. And the number one system that I want to overthrow is the United States. He hates our Constitution. He hates our Bill of Rights. He hates our system of free enterprise. He hates our history. He hates our culture. He hates our heritage. He hates everything about it. And he's a complete megalomaniac. He literally views himself as like the real Lenin, the real Karl Marx. He's the man that really will bring about a world socialist revolution. He sees himself, I'm serious, as a kind of a secular messiah. He's got a messianic complex. I think he's mentally ill. I think there's no question. I think he's got serious mental issues. But let that go. You know, you talked about that last caller yesterday. Look, that's Bill in Sudbury as well. That's Frank in Gloucester. But it's with many liberals. I'll tell you, look, if I'm to be brutally honest with you, okay, like I'm in the confessional, when I have not even a debate, a discussion with a liberal, it is exactly the feeling I always get. The same reaction is when I had conversations with Islamic extremists in Europe, where you sit down with them, and these are imams or Islamic fundamentalists. And, you know, in Paris or whatever, I met them. In London, I spoke to them. And you say anything that goes against their worldview, anything that upsets their worldview in any way, shape, or form. And it's like a medieval fanatical cult. They start to go berserk. And you said it, like the wires are crossing in their brain. That's exactly the same reaction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then they start getting loud. They start getting angry. They start breathing very heavy. They become discombobulated. And before you know it, like within 5 minutes, they're calling for you to be beheaded or to be killed or whatever. You know, fatwa, a fatwa, jihad, the jihad, the jihad. You know, whatever. You will pay for that. And I'm like, well, I'm just asking, did Muhammad not have 4 wives? Was not one of his youngest wives an 8-9-year-old girl? Like, I mean, it's in Encyclopedia Britannica, for God's sake. You know, so if you're grooming all these children in Europe and you have all these children being sexually molested, doesn't this all the way go back to Prophet Muhammad? I'm going to kill you! I'm going to kill you! That's how it is with your debate. I swear, when you're debating with a liberal. You know? So what they have is they have their talking points, their propaganda. They wire it into their brain. And then, you know, Elon's going to cut Social Security. Elon's going to cut Medicare. Elon's going to cut Medicaid. And then you say, well, no, he doesn't have the power to do that. I mean, literally, he can't. He's the head of DOGE, which works at the pleasure of the president, and it can only touch the federal bureaucracy. And even then, president must agree. The cabinet heads have to agree. But he has no legal, constitutional authority or ability to take a cent from Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. And then right away, oh, get you off the air, you fascist Nazi scumbag. It's the same thing. And that's why, if you want, I can play Elon's cut again, where he says there's a mental illness that's spreading. It's like it's not rational. It's not normal. What? Okay, you don't like me. You don't like that I'm doing DOGE. You don't like that I endorse Trump. Okay, fine. But why are you burning down Tesla dealerships? But that's what he's saying. What did Tesla do to you? I mean, is it not, you know, for liberals out there, was it not a great car before? Like, what's changed? Was it not there to help save the planet, according to you? What's changed? So a Tesla car, in fact, many Tesla cars, sitting in a car lot in a dealership, what threat do they pose to anybody? They're not cutting anybody's Social Security. They're not firing anybody from the federal bureaucracy. They didn't vote for Donald Trump. It's an inanimate object. Light it on fire. Molotov cocktails. Burn it. Flamethrow it. These people are nuts. And that's what Elon is saying. He goes, there's a mental illness, a derangement. It's not normal. And look, there's only one way to deal with people like this. You can't reason with them. You can't argue with them. Notice how many times Bill calls. I give him fact after fact, evidence after evidence, syllogism after syllogism, logical reasoning after and he goes apoplectic. In fact, he just starts repeating the same talking. It's like he doesn't want to hear anymore, like a cult. And people like that who commit these acts of terror and acts of violence, there's only one way to deal with them. Lock them up. Lock them up. Look, why is this happening? Somebody touched on it earlier. They went after Kavanaugh. They wanted to assassinate him. Nothing happened. There were no consequences. Chuck Schumer stood on the steps of the Supreme Court and he warned, as he said, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Alito, and he goes, you overturn Roe v. Wade, man, we're going to hang you from a lamppost. No consequences. So after a while, the left realizes there's no consequences. So yeah, let's start torching and firebombing Tesla dealerships and shooting up Tesla cars and smashing windows. Nothing's going to happen. 718 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, practically right on cue with this show. The left now, Democrat activists, have now spread the word. Get ready. March 29th. March 29th. So just basically 9 days from today, Saturday. So 9 days from now, Saturday, March 29th. So not this Saturday, the following Saturday. They're calling it Tesla Takedown Day. They're basically advertising that they're going to firebomb God knows how many Tesla dealerships, shoot up God knows how many Tesla dealerships. And if you drive a Tesla, my advice to you, keep it in the garage, keep it in your driveway, avoid driving or keeping your car publicly exposed if you can on that day. Because incidences now of Teslas being keyed, tires being slashed, in particular now windows being completely smashed, it's exploding. And yes, some individual Teslas have been burned. They've been literally torched. Just parking on, in front of the house or in the driveway but more in public, like at a parking lot or, wherever it is, at a shopping mall or whatever. And some crazy leftist sees it and, whatever, makes a Molotov cocktail or just somehow lights it on fire. And this is happening more and more and more. Now, on top of all of this, to show you how the Democrats are directly connected to this, Tim Walz, remember Tampon Tim? Kamala Harris's former vice presidential running mate and still the governor, that moonbat governor of Minnesota. He went on X yesterday and said to all of his Democrat supporters and liberal allies, if you need a boost in your day, just go check out the stock price of Tesla. As you know, Tesla's stock price is going down, down, down. Basically, it's the value of the company's been cut in half. So he's literally cheering on the financial decline, and I hope not, but maybe the ruin of a great American company, one of the few American car companies where the car is fully made and manufactured in the United States with tens of thousands of American workers who, by the way, are paid very well. These are good paying American jobs. And this idiot is telling every liberal out there and all of his Democrat supporters, hey, you're really feeling a little glum? Feeling a little depressed? Take a look at Tesla stock. It'll give you a really good boost. This guy is sick. He's sick. To his credit, Elon fired back. Elon responded to Waltz saying on X, quote, sometimes when I need a little boost, I look at the J.D. Vance portrait in the White House and thank the Lord. But I mean, it's just, this is insane. So what Waltz is saying is, wink, wink, burn Tesla to the ground. And let me just say one other thing, because you can look it up. Please don't take my word for it. ABC. Something has to be done with ABC. They're out of control. They're the ones, if you remember, who rigged the presidential debate against Donald Trump. They're the ones now who have been caught pushing forth outrageous lie after outrageous lie. I'm talking about the most disgusting lies imaginable. And now, Jimmy Kimmel, who's really not a comedian, he's a Democrat activist masquerading as a comedian. Well, apparently on his monologue, was it either, I don't know if it was last night or the night before, but was mocking Elon, mocking Tesla, and essentially called for people to continue to burn and firebomb Tesla dealerships and Tesla cars. What he did was, and this is the way he does it, is he says, and people are burning Teslas, and they're lighting Tesla dealerships on fire, and you should never do that. And then he looks at the audience, and he paused for about 3 to 4 seconds, and the audience just starts laughing. In other words, you catch my double meaning. You shouldn't do it. Wink, wink. You should. The FCC needs to take their license away. I'm serious. That is a rabid band of anti-Trumpers who now are openly pushing for domestic terrorism. Remember George Stephanopoulos called Trump a rapist and they had to fine ABC $15 million? Well, now they're going from slander and defamation and rigging presidential debates to now literally laughing at and basically calling for people to destroy Tesla dealerships and set Tesla cars on fire. And by the way, that's a comedy show. 617-266-6868. Maggie on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Maggie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hi. I certainly can, and I do as often as I can. Thank you, Jeff. You're my lifeline to sanity. I'll make my comments as brief because I'm sure lots of folks want to talk. I don't think this whole violence, this horrific and inexplicable and insane violence is disconnected in any way from what we've been dealing with for the last 5-10 years. These are not individual people, in my mind, that are losing their mind and attacking these dealerships, these vehicles. This is not organic from an individual. This is contrived. And so who, in my mind, are these people that seem to...
Maggie, here's what I want to do, okay? Let's see if we can reestablish a connection with you because you're breaking up on us. So I want to come back to you, and you're making a very good point. Who are these people that are committing these acts of terrorism? Let me tell you what's now noticeable about these Tesla attacks, the few people that they've arrested. Many of them are transgendered. There was a vicious attack up in New York where this crazy, it turned out to be a transgender person, a terrorist, who saw multiple Teslas at a car dealership and just threw one Molotov cocktail after another on the car. Walked up and one Molotov, 2 Molotovs, 3 Molotovs, and stood there and laughed as the cars burned. So something is going on. We'll go back to Maggie. 7:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Elon Musk now literally in the crosshairs. Tesla dealerships now are being firebombed across the entire country. Teslas themselves, if you drive one, please be careful. They are being keyed. They're being vandalized deliberately by left-wing Democrat activists. And many of you are probably saying, but Jeff, I am a Democrat. Many of us bought the Teslas. I know. Democrats are attacking, I swear to you, Democrats are attacking fellow Democrats. But please, really, I don't care what your politics are. I want you to be safe. To me, we can have, we can agree to disagree. But you don't deal with someone you don't like by destroying their product and by keying cars or slashing tires or smashing windows or setting these cars on fire. And as I said, March 29th is Tesla Takedown Day. The far left, Democrat activists are now vowing they're going to hit every dealership and go after as many Tesla vehicles as they can. So remember, that's not this Saturday, that's the following Saturday. So please be very careful. 617-266-6868. Okay, I want to go right back to Maggie on the North Shore. Hopefully we fix that phone issue, the connection problem. Maggie was making a very interesting point, which is, I don't think this is spontaneous, Jeff. I think these are many of the same activists who've been committing terrorism and acts of hate over the last 4 or 5 years, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's Antifa, whether it's these protests against Trump last year. So Maggie thinks this is all part of a much larger coordinated effort spearheaded by certain donors and by the Democratic Party. Please, Maggie, pick up where you left off.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. I moved to a different portion of my house where I think I get better reception.
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear. Go ahead, Maggie.
Great. God bless Verizon. As I said, this is not organic coming from individuals with deep passions. These are people who are, I used to jokingly call them the Rent-A-Riot squad. It was Antifa people, and then they became the BLM, and then they became the campus rioters and they are, in my mind, to start a fire. I think we learned this in California. You need two things. You need a fuel, and then you need the kindling to be laying there and wait to just keep it all going. And I think what we're seeing is the kindling that's just waiting there to be to keep things going, to start it. And it's the elite that kind of hire, you rent a riot. What do you want? You want street violence with little gunshots? We'll need this, and this. You want us to burn some police cars? That's going to cost you this. You want a police car with a cop in it? It's going to cost you this. They literally have these people trained like a catering service, and they can be called upon to do what it is that they do, but they have to be trained and they have to be supplied with the philosophy, the brainwashing. I wouldn't call it philosophy because you have to have a depth of mind to have a philosophy. All you have to have is a few neurons to be manipulated. And these are idle people. What do they do during the day? What do they contribute? They're available at night to put on their black jammies and go out and cause destruction? No. You need some funding, you need some training, and you need some indoctrination. And they also have no moral depth, none whatsoever. And they're not all Americans, I don't think. I think we're feeling the result of poor immigration policy and the indoctrination at our university levels by un-American, unpatriotic elements. Anyway, so how do we deal with this? I still have hope that it may be the last generation of us, but I do believe that there's a majority of Americans who are not surface in their emotional commitment to this country. There's a deep patriotism, and that only comes with time in the country, learning about the country, putting your hard sweat and blood and tears into raising your family in this country, and understanding how lucky we are to have had this opportunity as America. None of these people who are doing this are even capable of those sentiments. So they are just indoctrinated, violent people. So there's a different way of dealing with them, and that's to simply hold them to the rule of the law. They use fear as their tactic. We will use their fear of the law as ours. And if we can't hold them to the whole rule of the law, we lose credibility, we lose control. But they're going to get supported. We're going to get pushback from these stupid rogue judges, and we all know where they came from. And we just got to keep to what we know is right.
Oh,
and what
brilliant.
we know is right.
Maggie, honestly, brilliant. Really, really perceptive, cogent, incisive analysis, I have to say. And look, I can only add to what you said, because I don't think I could have said it better myself. What I'm noticing now, and again, they've caught a few of them, these arsonists. Okay, they've caught a few. So it's not all. I can't say it's all, but they've caught a few. And as I said before the break, many of them are transgender. Now, the only reason why I'm mentioning that is they're targeting people who are mentally unstable. You know, you mentioned people with few neurons, or not very, Jeff, there's no philosophy there. There's not much depth there. You're right. But they know how to work people who are clearly mentally not up there and have serious psychological mental problems. And they could easily just tip them over the edge. And as I mentioned, there was a guy up in New York. It was in the New York Post. It was a big story. And, transgender guy thinking he's a woman. And, that you can find how to make a Molotov cocktail on the internet. And he just walked into a Tesla dealership and had like Molotov cocktails on him, and right in front of a crowd. I mean, he's not even hiding it. And just lit the cocktail, bang, lit an entire car on fire. Next, the cocktail, bang, smashed it on the car, lit it on fire. I think he did 3 or 4 of them. And then he just stood there laughing as literally the cars are going up in smoke. People are running, yelling and screaming, and they think the whole dealership may go up and, may blow up, or God knows. So they're running around. By the way, thank the Lord, these are electric vehicles. I know they're very hard when they're lit on fire to actually douse them. But can you imagine if these were gas-powered cars and they're lighting them on fire, the explosions? I mean, my God, you could blow up a whole block. But my point what you're saying is everything what you said is true. It's clear now. They are, though, targeting people who've got serious mental issues. And that's how diabolical this whole thing is. And to show you how financial it is, it came out. Soros, this is their recruitment letter to campus activists, anti-Tesla activists, anti-Musk, anti-Trump activists. Do you like to protest? Do you have time to protest? Are you willing to put in at least 3 or 4 hours a day to protest for its various liberal causes, or they call them progressive causes? If the answer is yes, listen to this. We will pay you $200 for the first day, and we'll see how good you are as an activist. And if you're really good, listen to this. The second time you do it, they up it to $1,000. So, do the math. Let's say they do it for 4 hours. It's basically $50 an hour, cash. But if they're really good, in other words, hey, you're not just a talker, you're a doer. Hey, you'll key that car. You'll firebomb that dealership, or whatever it may be. Hey, you'll shoot up that dealership in Oregon, as what happened a week ago. Then you know what? $1,000 for you. So now you're not making $50 an hour. Now you're making $250, $300 an hour. Crime pays. And that's what this is now becoming. It's almost becoming like a criminal syndicate. That's like a modern day political mafia run by the Democrats and their donors. Pay people to extort, intimidate, and bully your political opponents. Al Capone would be proud. Now on the great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I don't normally do this, but I really want to get a sense of the temperature of Kuhner country, where you are on this issue. So let me do it again. Let me reread the poll question, the Kuhner country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Should Tesla vandals be designated as domestic terrorists? In other words, those that are firebombing Tesla dealerships, shooting up Tesla dealerships, burning Tesla cars, as I said, keying Tesla cars, smashing Tesla cars, slashing the tires of Tesla cars. Should they be now designated as domestic terrorists? President Trump has said yes. Pam Bondi has said they will be, in fact, and are currently going to be designated as domestic terrorists. Kash Patel, FBI director, Dan Bongino, deputy FBI director, said now they're investigating all of these attacks on Teslas and Tesla dealerships, and that they will be charged as domestic terrorists. Do you agree? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I am an A, yes, all the way, baby. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. And if you prefer, you can also vote via X, my handle there. It's all one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner. Drew in Newton. Thanks for holding, Drew, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Drew.
So far, the focus of your show, rightfully so, has been about what's going on with Tesla. I want to bring up another angle to this that you haven't mentioned yet, because it's all part of the larger picture, which is the swatting that has been happening.
I love you.
Many.
I love you. I love you in a non-sexual way, my friend. But please keep going, Drew.
I love you too, Jeff, in the same way. That many MAGA influencers are. There's been this wave of swatting, and the nature of the swatting, because this is not a new phenomenon necessarily. The level is there's something new happening. It's very sophisticated, very difficult to kind of figure out how they're doing this. At the same time,
Drew, can you do me a favor? I promise I'll give you all the time in the world. For the audience out there, some of whom may not know what the term swatting means, can you just give them a quick definition? What is to swat someone? What does that mean?
Jeff, so I could find out where you live, Jeff. It's, everyone can track down someone's home address. And I could call the police and say, hey, this is Jeff Kuhner. I'm about to kill my wife and kids, or someone broke into my house and they just killed my kids. So you call in as an emergency situation where the police is going to send like a SWAT team to your house to kind of diffuse this situation. And meanwhile, they're going to come in with their guns trained and loaded, and it sets up a very potential volatile situation where someone could just make the wrong move and get shot. And that's really the intention because
excellent job, Drew. Excellent job. You did a great job describing swatting. So just so that people know, and then what Drew is talking about is over. What would you say, Drew? About a week now? Was it about a week, 10 days? Where conservative talk show hosts, conservative podcasters, what they call conservative influencers, people who are very big on social media, on X, with a big following, pro-Trump people, are literally being swatted by these deranged leftists. And they're coming in. I mean, Joe Pags, who's, on WRKO, and I've been on Joe Pags' show many times. Joe was swatted, I think, just a couple days ago. Was it 2:30 in the morning? And the cops showed up, as Drew says, guns drawn or whatever, hands on their guns, thinking, well, we've been told someone's suicidal. Someone's going to blow his brains out. Or someone is going to shoot his kids. He's crazy. He's got a gun. Now, luckily, Pags was warned. By the way, I've been warned as well by many people. Jeff, be careful. They're swatting. So if the cops knock on your door at 2, 3 in the morning know exactly what's going on, stay calm, tell your family to stay calm, and try to de-escalate immediately. And Joe Pag said, look, I have a gun. He openly said it. He goes, I have a gun. He goes, but when the doorbell rang at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm hearing, bang, bang, bang on the door, they swatted me. Not going to take my gun. If I take my gun, this could lead into a deadly conflict with police. But they're setting up a situation where the cops may accidentally kill or shoot a prominent talk show host or an influencer or a podcaster. Drew, please keep going.
So another thing that's been happening, we've seen these mass kind of stormings at Trump Tower in New York. So I just want to put it out there that in addition to what's going on with Tesla, this is part of a larger wave. We're definitely now in the terrorism phase of the left, which I think was their plan all along if Trump were to have won the election. And I think we just kind of need to see the larger picture that this is the stage we're in. It's very early into Trump's presidency. And if this is not stopped, well, it will only escalate. And, you've mentioned Bondi and Bongino and Kash Patel. They're well aware of what's going on. And I want to come back to that, but I wanted to say one other thing about your opening monologue. You kind of threw out the question of why Elon. Well, I mean, obviously it's because he's become Trump's BFF, but and he's doing the job that he's doing. He's over the target, exposing fraud. But I want to just kind of throw out another thought that I had, which is they've thrown every single thing you can imagine at Donald Trump, and the guy's a force of nature. Nothing has worked. He's practically like a superhero. So now I feel like they've trained their guns on Elon, maybe hoping that, unlike Trump, Elon will succumb to the pressure and he will break. But anyway, this terrorism is absolutely domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism, if you look at the definition of terrorism, of violence towards a political end, that it must be stopped. Whoever is at the top, whether it's Soros or John Podesta, whoever is involved, they got Al Capone on taxes, because getting for all of the charges, was so long and complicated, or whatever the reasons. So however they have to do it just to get the people at the top. I think that, I don't know if it's the Insurrection Act, but I think that they want to try to force Trump's hand to do something that's so large and big in response, troops on the street, where then they can say, see, the guy is a dictator.
Oh, you nailed it.
All.
Drew, you absolutely nailed it. I think that's the goal. I think you absolutely nailed it. They want to wreak so much havoc and so much chaos and a sense of society breaking down and instill so much terror. And that's what this is, terror. Terror on Musk, terror on, dealerships, terror on Tesla owners, terror on talk show hosts, terror on conservative podcasters and Trump supporters on social media, that basically, Elon, in other words, like, as you said, go after the right-hand man. And Elon is like, my God, this is terrorism. And Pam Bondi says, my God, this is terrorism. And Kash Patel says, my God, this is terrorism. And Trump says, look, I got to start putting troops on the streets. Like, I just got to stop. I can't have these people blowing things up and firebombing and cops going into people's homes at 3 a.m. and, God forbid, a prominent conservative talk show host is shot in the head accidentally. So I can't have this. And you're right. Then when he calls out the National Guard or puts troops on the streets, they'll say, you see, dictator, dictator, dictator. And then they think they'll create their so-called moment of crisis, where people will go to the streets to challenge, if they put it, the regime, Trump. And you're right. It's a cabal. And it's not just Soros. And I believe there's no question that the leadership of the Democratic Party and their key supporters and donors are completely behind this. This is not accidental. This is not spontaneous. As Maggie put it, this is not organic. This is their plan. And to me, this is where Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have to earn their money now. And Drew, let me ask you this. I'm just speaking honestly from the heart, okay? I like Pam Bondi. I like Kash Patel. Please don't get me wrong. But why is it when, I mentioned them, but you mentioned them as well. Pam Bondi, AG, FBI Director Kash Patel, as I like to call him, 1-800-877-CASH. I mean, and Dan Bongino, who's the deputy. So really of the three, Bongino is the lowest on the poll. But the one that I have the most confidence is actually going to start making arrests and disrupting these domestic terrorist networks and cells and send people to prison is Dan Bongino. Now, I'm just speaking from the heart. I have no inside knowledge. I'm just saying, you mentioned these three names, and the one that my head goes, yeah, I think Dan will get him. No, I think Dan's the guy. Dan's the closer. Drew, do you agree or disagree? I'm just curious. Do you feel the same way, or do you have more confidence in Kash and Pam Bondi than I do?
Jeff, I feel the same way as far as, putting Bongino. He's not there to play games, okay? But I think there's a larger point. I'm really glad that you asked me this because I'm an avid listener. I wake up every day, listen to your show. I've called in a few times over the years. And I agree with you 99.9% of the time, Jeff. The one time that one less than 1% of the time that I've disagreed with you recently is in your criticism of Pam Bondi. I just think it's too early to make a judgment. It very well could be that they're a disappointment in these roles, but I think we have to consider the fact that all of them are going into these agencies where there's still people embedded into them that are totally on the resist movement. I mean, we kind of got a beachhead in, but we have not won any war in all of this, and they got to still fight just internally in those organizations. And now, before they can even take on all the big crimes and all the big scandals.
Big fish. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Now they got to deal with this. Now they got to deal with.
No, that's a fair point, Drew. That's a fair point. Look, maybe I suffer from Jeff Sessions' Bill Barr syndrome. PTSD. I see the Attorney General, and I think betrayal. I see an action. I see, I start to shake and my heart starts to palpitate and I start getting these panic attacks. So, all right, maybe I should be a little bit more patient. Drew, please don't be a stranger. Call again. Phenomenal. Dynamite call. Dave in Newton. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Dave.
Thanks for everything you're doing. I just want to say, the militia, doesn't the Constitution say something about every man, woman, and child is in the militia?
Well, I mean, potentially, yes. I mean, they wanted citizens to protect the republic.
So there has been a growing militia in the country ever since Obama. President Trump could request that the militia protect these dealerships, and then he wouldn't have to send the military in.
Well, that's an interesting point, Dave. To be honest, thank the Lord, it hasn't gotten to that level, that scale of violence. Look, it's bad, it's horrific, but it's not every Tesla dealership, if you know what I mean. It's still one in Vegas, one in Washington State, one in Missouri, one in Oregon. Here in Massachusetts, it's more the charging stations. They're going after a couple Teslas have been vandalized. It's been a few Teslas, but it's mostly charging stations that they're either destroying or literally torching, just burning them down. So look, the police can handle this. The FBI can handle this. They have enough manpower to do it. I think what they got to start doing is they've got to start making high profile arrests, make an example of these people, have them charged as domestic terrorists. See, I think, Dave, what they need to start doing is you grab a couple of these people, you arrest them, and then you hold a big mother press conference with all the cameras, all the media, and Pam Bondi's there, and Cash is there, and Bongino's there. Even Trump should be there. And say, they are now going to go to jail for, 25 years. You think torching a dealership is funny? You're going to be 25 years hard time behind bars. You are now designated and will be tried as a terrorist. In other words, it'll act as a deterrent. Now, my concern is if they just keep letting this go on, and we'll see in 9 days, Dave. I mean, that's the big Tesla takedown day. If you start seeing Teslas going up in smoke and Tesla dealerships up in flames all across the country, then you got yourself a national emergency. So I'm hoping that they act now to nip it in the bud. And the other thing they got to do is you got to go after the top people. And I've been saying this, Dave, for I don't know how many years. What the hell? No, let me rephrase that. What the F? I'm sorry, but I have to say it. What the blank does George Soros and Alex Soros have to do before they get arrested and charged with treason and terrorism? It's unbelievable. Who bankrolled Black Lives Matter? They did. Who bankrolls Antifa? They did. Who bankrolls this radical campus terrorism and activism all across the country? They did. Who's bankrolling now all of these attacks on Teslas and Tesla dealerships? Them. So you're paying for terrorism, you're funding terrorism, you're promoting terrorism, you're inciting terrorism, you're openly championing terrorism. I don't care what kind of a billionaire you are and how many Democrat friends and people you've bought off. Go after Soros and his entire financial empire. And I forget, I think it was Drew. I mean, after a while, these are such good calls, you forget which person said it. You got Al Capone on tax evasion? Get Soros on tax evasion. In other words, if you can't get him on RICO, or if you can't then I'm telling you, this guy has committed crimes. Both him and his son. So, we're not powerless. We have the government now. We won the election. So get the FBI, get the Treasury Department, get Homeland Security, get Attorney General Pam Bondi, and start cracking some heads. Dave, final word to you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, Dave, am I wrong?
Nope, you're 100% right, but follow the money.
Oh, I'm with you. No, Dave, you see, what I love about you and what I love about this audience is, it's always like, oh, Jeff, we got to do it. Well, there was a militia, so now we got to go out there and protect the dealerships. Look, I love the sentiment. I agree with you. But I'm like, why don't they do their jobs for once? We always got to do their jobs for them. Look, you're too busy working. I'm too busy working. This audience, we're too busy working, man. We got inflation breathing down our neck. We've got high energy bills, high gas bills, high grocery bills. We got to put food on the table. We've got to put a roof over our head, pay a mortgage, pay a rent, take care of our kids. Come on, man. What are we going to do? The government's job for them? So we won the election. We got our people in power. Now do your job. Dave, thank you very much for that call. By the way, notice I'm seriously, notice we all do our jobs. Some a little better, some a little worse. Of course, people are people. But we never expect someone else to do our jobs. So we got to do our jobs and then do theirs. Or, people are saying, Jeff, let's hold a rally. And I'm like, yeah, but okay, fine. So it's not enough that we break our backs working. So now we got to prod them to do their jobs. So what are we paying you for? Look, they have the time to go on Fox News or Newsmax and do interview after interview. In other words, when it's time to put their face in front of a camera, no problemo. Snap of a finger. There they are. So start making arrests. Look, to put it crudely, kick some ass. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. John in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
Man, there's some great calls this morning. I hope I can add to that.
They're smoking. The callers are smoking today, John.
Well, I got 2 points. The first one is really quick. Maybe it'll kind of show the hypocrisy and even the stupidity of the left. You mentioned Tim Walz and how he's, bragging. There's one thing you may not know. You may know. Minnesota has approximately $370 million invested in Tesla stock. So he's asking them basically to bring down all the state employees' retirement. He's just destroying it.
I did not know that.
So,
John, you literally, you just taught me something. I thought he was just being his buffoon self. I had and I'm thinking this guy's trying to tank a great American company. I had no idea. 370 million in Tesla stock. So he's going to tank the stock of his own state employees? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Huh? Can you imagine Tim Walz as Vice President of the United States? John, hang on. I'm going to come right back to you after this break. On the great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, let's go right back to John in Plymouth. John's on a roll. I had no idea that Minnesota's government had so much invested in Tesla stock, $370 million. So that's obviously the pension funds or the pension of, many of the state employees. And yet their governor, former VP candidate for the Democrats, Tim Walz, went on X yesterday and saying you need a little boost to all the Democrats and all his liberal friends. He goes, just take a look at the stock price of Tesla. It's going down, down, down. Yeah. And as John rightly pointed out, he's cheering on the collapse of a stock that's going to hurt the investment and retirement portfolios of the state workers of Minnesota. I mean, that's just how stupid and negligent Tampon Tim is. John, please pick up where you left off.
My second point. Many people, I don't think, out there know how dangerous and how evil George Soros is. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a little bit of his history. George Soros, when he was a little boy, grew up during World War II, and his father was part of the Uden Rats. Rats were actually Jews that were basically not Nazi sympathizers, but they worked with the Nazis, ratting out where other Jews were to basically save their own skin. And in return, they were allowed to keep the Jewish people that they turned in, their money, their property, whatever. And this was George Soros' background. Now, George Soros' father changed the family name. Maybe you know this, Jeff, but their original name is their actual last name is not Soros. He changed the family name so it wouldn't sound so Jewish. So since then, and you could probably pick up from then to current day, and now Alex is going to take over the reins. So this is a family that is just purely evil. And now you know where the Nazi is all coming from.
Oh,
he
no
really
question.
is a Nazi.
Oh, you're dead on. Absolutely dead on, John. No, look, it's pronounced in Hungarian Soros. Okay, it's anglicized as Soros. Soros is as anybody of Hungarian descent will tell you, is a very, very Hungarian name. It's like, I don't know, Baldini in Italian. I'm just going to, mix the whatever. It's like, you go, oh, okay, whatever. It's, it's like, I don't know, Johnson in England, or whatever. It's just, you go, oh, okay. So he deliberately picked the most Hungarian last name you could possibly pick. And you're right, to hide or cover up his Jewish identity, because he was ashamed of it. And it wasn't just that his father, you're completely right. His father was part of that group. These were Jews who sold out their own kind. George Soros himself volunteered along with his dad. It wasn't just like the old man did it and the son was following him. No. Soros was 12, 13, 14 years old. He said, no, this is a great way for me to make money. I mean, to survive, but also to make money. And so he went on his own, not with his dad. His dad worked, yes, but, dad would rat out certain Jews and the son would rat out other Jews. And this was in Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary. And he would go out to the Jewish neighborhood or certain areas and say, no. That house, they're Jewish. Trust me. Really? Yeah. Get them. And as the reward, he would go in and they'd say, okay, take your pick. What do you want? You want the cash? What do you want? The jewelry? What do you want? You want that beautiful vase? Yeah, you could sell it on the black market for, good chunk of change. Now, you do this. Okay, that's horrific. To me, it's diabolical. It's demonic. How you do that. And he knew. He admitted later. He goes, no, I knew I was sending them in the cattle cars. He had no illusions. He didn't think like, I don't know, they were just going to detain him. No, he openly said, I was sending them to the death camps, to the gas ovens. I knew exactly what I was doing. What to me is the thing that's really chilling, that makes your hair stand on edge, is in that infamous interview. This is many years now. We're talking into the 1990s. He's a grown man. He's practically 60 years old. He's made his money. He's made his billions. He's now the sugar daddy of the Democratic Party. And, he broke the Bank of England. He's now known as one of the biggest international money changers in the world. Okay, one of these big globalist financiers. And he's asked by Steve Kroft point blank, well, do you feel haunted by that? Do you feel guilty about what you did? Without batting an eye, he said, no. And Kroft can't believe it. Kroft's like, you don't feel any guilt? Not even a scintilla of guilt? He goes, no, I feel no guilt whatsoever. He goes, I did what I had to do to survive. Like looking at him like, and he shrugs his shoulders like, buddy, like, what's your problem? And Kroft is stunned. And I'm like, well, okay, many could have done what you did, but they didn't. And you didn't have to take the money. I mean, it's bad enough that you sold your own people literally to their deaths. But how about the cash? How about grabbing all that cash and all that jewelry and, all that, expensive stuff? No, that doesn't bother you? No. I mean, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. And by the way, he continues to be a self-hating Jew. And that's what he is. He's a self-hating Jew. He hates Jews. He hates Jewish culture, Jewish civilization. He reviles Israel. And he would love nothing more. He's pro-Hamas. Who do you think is funding all of these Hamas activists? Now, I want you to think about that. First, you helped the Nazis exterminate your own people. And now you want to help the heirs of the Nazis? That's what Hamas really is. They openly call for the elimination and the extermination of all the Jews of Israel. And after they've slaughtered so many Jewish women and children and civilians on October 7th, and what's your response? You want to finance them? You want to fund them? You want them on college campuses all over the country? This is one sick puppy. Let me tell you. And the sun, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So, you want to know who's behind the anti-Musk campaign? That's who's KO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, there's even more information. I swear to you, this story is, it's on breaking and breaking and breaking as we're talking about it. But before I do, I want to read something that Mark sent me on Messenger, which I think is A, extremely funny, and B, right on point, and shows you the hypocrisy and almost the stupidity of all of these Democrats and liberal activists now boycotting Tesla, or calling for Teslas now to be burned and torched and firebombed. Remember I mentioned about Jimmy Kimmel? In theory, he's supposed to be the late night comedian, not that he's funny, on ABC, where he's basically calling for Teslas to be burned and Tesla dealerships to continue to be firebombed. This is what Mark wrote. Jeff, I'm just curious about Jimmy Kimmel. I gotta ask you, Jimmy, how much are you and all you other left-wing moonbats paying Elon Musk for that blue check mark next to your names on X? I'm sure he appreciates your business, you hypocritical idiots. It was laugh out loud. Jeff, this is how stupid these people are. That is a really good point. I guarantee you, Jimmy Kimmel and all these other Hollywood elites and, burn them, torch them, destroy them, vandalize them, smash them. Blue check mark. Blue check mark. Blue check mark on X. Okay, so here it is. Laura Loomer, again, strikes again. So she's been on a roll lately. Here is now what Laura Loomer has exposed. Laura Loomer apparently was able to get in on this phone call. So there was a phone call last night for this Tesla takedown event that they are now going to do, as I said, on Saturday, March 29th. The goal is to target, according to what they said, the activists said on this phone call, that they're going to have organizers call and target 500 Tesla showrooms on March 29th. So they've got 500 anti-Tesla protests to take place at Tesla showrooms on March 29th. They want to mob the showrooms. They want to occupy the showrooms. They're calling for people to go and torch the cars, either in the showroom or on the parking lot, on the car lot. So they're calling now for naked violence, terrorism, and arson. Apparently, according to Laura Loomer, one of the top organizers for this, this March 29th Tesla takedown is a professor at Boston University. Her name is Joan Donovan. Apparently, her handle on X is at Boston Joan with an exclamation point. And apparently, she's the author of a book, I'm just going by what Laura Loomer's writing, called Meme Wars. And Donovan, apparently, she claims to be a professor of journalism and communications at Boston University, that she studies memes and disinformation. And she's one of the people now that says that we have to teach Elon Musk a lesson. If he's going to go in DOGE and he's going to implement these cuts or recommend these cuts to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, we're going to hit him where it hurts. We're going to torch and destroy his businesses. This woman is a terrorist. By the way, she's a hardcore Marxist. And apparently this is a college professor at Boston University, where, according to her bio, she teaches, quote, journalism and emerging media studies in their College of Communication. So Boston University now has a so-called professor who's openly calling for vandalism and acts of terrorism across the country, 500 showrooms, including, by the way, here in Massachusetts. So again, Boston is at the epicenter of this. Radical leftists in the universities, the so-called professors, quote unquote. These aren't professors. These are terrorists and terrorist organizers. Like with the pro-Hamas people on all these campuses. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the FBI, you need to pay this so-called professor, Joan Donovan, a visit. Now, one last point. Jasmine Crockett, you know, that crazy member of Congress who's trying to out AOC, you know, basically out Moonbat AOC. Well, she's now back in the news. She recently said in an interview yesterday that she is going to participate and she fully supports this Tesla takedown protest, so-called protest on the 29th, March 29th, Saturday. Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are now saying she needs to be arrested. This is the first time ever that a sitting member of Congress is openly supporting terrorism and terrorist violence on American soil. This is how unhinged they are. They're now in the halls of Congress. Literally now, in the halls of Congress, they're now saying, fire, burn, and torch Tesla dealerships. I'll be there. I support you. Do it. We got a problem. We got a problem. And the administration better nip this in the bud. Because I'm telling you, the violence that we've seen up to now is going to be a Sunday picnic compared to what's going to happen next Saturday. Ellie in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ellie, and welcome.
Hey, little buddy. How are you?
I'm very good. Hey, I'm just happy I don't own a Tesla, Ellie.
I know.
Because with my luck, I'm the guy that gets torched with the car. But anyway, please keep going.
Well, I love you in a nice special way. By the way,
thank you, Ellie.
What all the Democrats have to know. First of all, there's nothing democratic about the Democrat Party anymore. The JFK Democrat Party is gone. It's long gone. And if you look up in capital letters, because I've been, scraping around, DSA, right? What the Democrats have to know, what their parties become, capital letters, DSA, Google it, it's the Democrat Socialists of America. And it also has another meaning that you'll find, DSA, Digital Systems Agency. Now, the Digital Systems Agency tracks waste. It's been around for years. It's the same thing as DOGE. Trump just changed the name. It's the same thing. It's been around for years. So people shouldn't be getting excited about that, And it's like, everybody has to know. And also, this isn't just about...
Ellie, please, I'm up against the hard break. Hang on. I want to come right back to you. She's completely right. In fact, Obama, not that he did anything, but Obama, when he was president, said, we've got to wage war on waste, fraud, and abuse. So it was okay for Obama, but not Trump? All right, let's go right back to Ellie in Worcester. Ellie, we got cut off by the break. Please pick up where you left off.
Okay. It's not Tesla, because this is right out of the handbook for radicals. If it wasn't Tesla, it'll be something else. Their mission is just to create chaos, attack anybody who disagrees with them. It could be an ice cream parlor, it could be anything. And as far as them, burning the cars and all sorts of stuff, Now, aren't they poisoning the atmosphere with the deadly fumes of the lithium batteries? Climate change. So it's like that they're all BS, right? And it what they have in common with Lenin, Castro, Mussolini, Hitler, all those guys, they were all socialists. And the Democrat Party now is socialist. It's like if they call you're a Hitler, you're a Nazi, this and that, they're just calling themselves that because that's what they've become. You know what I mean? So it's just handbook for radicals, chaos, chaos, chaos. It doesn't matter who you attack. If they're disagreeing with you, cause chaos. Like I say, it could be an ice cream parlor. It could be anything.
No, Ellie, you put your finger right on it. Look, it's Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. And what does he say? Cause chaos, cause havoc, always keep your opponent on the defensive, and eventually overwhelm the system, and then the system collapses. So what they've now decided is they lost the election, they lost control of Congress, they got handily defeated in the November presidential election. So we're going to use the courts to disrupt Trump, to undermine and sabotage and block Trump, paralyze him, and we're going to take it to the streets. But we don't have enough bodies to really, they can't get millions of people to come out and protest because Trump is so popular, because the overwhelming majority of the American people, almost 80-20, support what he's doing. So what do we do then? Okay, rent a mob, or rent a terrorist. So let's start blowing up Tesla dealerships. Let's start firebombing. Let's start, shooting them up. And apparently, as I said, next Saturday, March 29th, it's going to be the mother of all Tesla takedowns. So they want to hit 500 dealerships, 500 showrooms across the entire country. Basically now, this is economic terrorism. They want to destroy and bring Tesla to its knees. In other words, tell Elon Musk, you better knock off these DOGE cuts. You better stop exposing all of this corruption and bribery and misuse and abuse and fraud being perpetrated on American taxpayers. Or else you're going to financially burn to the ground. Like literally, not just figuratively, literally. We're going to burn Teslas to the ground. And you're right, Ellie. Remember, these were all the ones that just 15 minutes ago said everyone should own an electric vehicle. An EV. That Teslas were going to save the planet. Green energy. They don't use gas. They don't consume fossil fuels. They don't emit carbon emissions. I'm just going by, what they were selling it. The left, the way they were selling these Teslas. It was going to save mankind, save humanity. Now they're lighting them on fire. And you're right. First of all, when you light them on fire, it's very hard to extinguish them. And B, the pollution. You're right. These are lithium batteries. They burn and they burn and they burn and they don't stop burning. So they're ravaging the environment. So it just shows you what as I said, they're a bunch of phonies and frauds. You phony, you fraud, you. And notice, not one liberal has called the show today to denounce the terrorism against Tesla. Not one Democrat. No, my mistake. One. Congressman Tim Phillips. Remember he tried to run against Joe Biden? They basically barred him. Phillips is the only guy. He's a member of the Minnesota congressional delegation. He's one of the few moderate Democrats left. And he's now come out blasting this assault on Tesla. And he's blasting his own, Minnesota's own governor, saying this guy's an idiot. Because this guy's crazy. And he's saying, again, the Democrats are openly coddling and encouraging political violence and terrorism. And is Chuck Schumer condemning this? Niet. Is Hakeem Jeffries condemning this? Niet. Is Nancy Pelosi condemning this? Niet. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC, are they condemning this? Niet. In fact, you now have a sitting member of Congress, Jasmine Crockett, saying she is helping to organize this, and she's openly supporting it and urging other Democrat members of Congress to join in. So really, what's next? You want to see Bernie at a Vermont, at a Burlington car dealership, Tesla car dealership with a flamethrower? Like really? Okay. And just, you know what I mean? Hasta la vista, baby. Say hello to my little friend. And then with a flamethrower, just start putting Teslas on fire. And the whole dealership. Why? Because he uncovered over $115 billion so far and counting? Here. You want to know what else he uncovered? This is why they're doing this. Because they can't defend the indefensible. So they have to resort to violence and terrorism. Look it up, please. Don't take my word for it, okay? There is a new director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA. That's its acronym. Now, you may say, Jeff, what the hell, FHFA? What does this have to do with anything? They're working with DOGE and Elon to uncover waste, fraud, and abuse, but this time in the housing agencies of the federal government. And in particular, in these so-called GSEs, government-sponsored entities where we financially back and support with our money, taxpayer dollars, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Remember them? Fannie and Freddie? So, the head of this FHFA, this Bill Plutt is his name, okay, decides to go literally to the headquarters of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Now remember, that's all our taxpayer money. I'm talking billions? Tens and tens of billions of dollars. He goes to the headquarters of Fannie Mae. Listen to this. This is what Elon, DOGE, and Bill Plutt have now exposed. This was just maybe 4 days ago. In theory, Fannie Mae is supposed to have 2,900 employees in the building. Bill Plutt walks in. He's got the camera. You can see it. It's all on video. The place is clean. I mean, clean. You can eat off the floor. The desks are clean. The offices are clean, except there's one problem. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. So they were there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the whole week. The most employees that were ever there, 49. 49. He said other days it was like 31, 27, 23. He goes, but the most that were there were 49 employees out of over 2,900 that should be in that building. 49. They have a massive basketball gym, empty. They have massive workout rooms, empty. They go office after office. It's like a tomb. Empty, 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 empty. He says, you can walk in and go, hello. And then you hear, hello, 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 like an echo. Because there's nobody there. And to show you how outrageous it is, they have a cafeteria. We're paying for all this. Your taxes. This is your money here. I just want you to know that. They have a massive cafeteria. You name it. What do you want? Steak, chicken, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, soup. Whatever you want, they make it every single day. And to be fair to the staff, the cafeteria staff, they show up every morning. They make the food every morning. It's there for lunch every Monday to Friday. There's plates and plates and plates of food. The cafeteria empty. 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 That's where your money is going. That's your money. Now, that's Fannie Mae. That's Freddie Mac. And they're going building after building after building. Now, many of these people aren't even working from home. They're not working. We're paying their salaries. They're literally, I don't know what they're doing. They're double dipping. They're getting a second check, whatever. Or they're just at home and putting their feet up on the couch and getting high. Whatever it is, they're not working. Now, I want you to think about this. They're making food in the cafeteria for 2,900 employees every day. It's been going on for 4 years. There's nobody there. At most, there's 49 people in the entire building. 49. Now, how do you pay for all this? Because this is another thing Elon has now discovered. Listen now to this. Do you understand? Do you realize? This is what now his DOGE team has uncovered. Okay, listen to this. You would think in the Treasury Department, but also in Department of Defense, the State Department, Health and Human Services, mostly in Treasury, but elsewhere, right? The government keeps issuing checks for whatever. They make payments of all kinds, right? That's the government. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in payments. So you would think, well, all the computers are synchronized, right? I mean, the left hand has to know what the right hand is doing, and the right hand has to know what the left hand is doing. So if Social Security is making out payments, well, everybody in the government needs to know how much money is going out the door for defense, for Social Security, for Medicare, for Medicaid, whatever. Hospitals are being reimbursed. Doctors are being reimbursed, right? You would think, right? They would be on the same page. No. Elon said they're off. They're not synchronized. Not only are they not synchronized, listen to this. Okay? If you're eating, please stop because you're going to spit out your food. Listen to this. Not only are they off by 5 or 10%. Now, remember, we're talking about trillions of dollars. So 10% is hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. So one agency says, I don't know, we've just, we've issued 2.3 million. The government has issued $2.3 trillion in payments. And no, DOD says, we don't have 2.3. We got 2.6. And HHS says, no, it's 1.9. And Treasury says, no, I think it's 1.6. Where's all that money going? They're losing track of hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And so how do you make up for hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars? I'm going to play the cut because you're not going to believe me. You're going to say, come on, Kuhner. Hey, Jeff. Hey, come on. Don't exaggerate for dramatic effect, okay? Because you're not going to believe me. They found 14, what they're calling magic money machines. You're going to say, Jeff, what the hell is a magic money machine? It sounds like out of a fantasy a book or a children's book or a movie. These are computers that literally just make up money. Like, okay, so you're saying 2.2 trillion, you're saying 1.9 trillion. We're short 300 billion. Okay, the machines will make up the money. They'll just literally just say, okay, like ding, 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 ding. They just say, okay, 300 billion. We just made it up. Go. They're literally making up money out of thin air through these machines. Here's Elon Musk. Here it is. You got to hear it to believe it. Okay? I mean, this is communist Cuba. This is like the old Soviet Union. Like, it's just, where's the money? We don't know. It's gone. It's just gone. And they just say, well, okay, just change that number on the books. I'm telling you, that's how they run their budget. But no, comrade, it's not real money. Just say $2 trillion bottom line, okay? But it's only 1.5 trillion, comrade. We're short 500 billion. Just put in 2 trillion. Don't worry. We'll make up the money. We'll just invent the money. Elon Musk in a podcast with Ted Cruz. Here it is, my friends. You want to talk about a scandal? Holy mackerel. Roll cut 17, Mike.
You may think that the government computers like all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's coherent. That the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
One would think. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some there's one or two at State, there's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
They send money out of nothing. Out of nothing. And you want to know why we're going bankrupt. And by the way, you want to know why there's all this money that's missing. And you want to know why all of these politicians come in making $200,000 a year. And they're all walking out 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, $200 million. Not millionaires, gazillionaires. Now you know why they're burning Tesla dealerships. Now you know why they want to destroy this man and kill him if need be. Now you know why they're firebombing Teslas left, right, and center. Because he is exposing, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, the greatest scandal, the biggest scandal in American history. Money is being stolen and siphoned off and abused on a level unparalleled in human history. That's how much money has been stolen from us. And we're looking, what, maybe 20 years? How far back does this go? So how much in total have they stolen from us? It's in the trillions. It's in the trillions. Now you know why nothing works. Now you know why. We spend and we spend and we spend. It's magic money. It's all magic money. That's why Trump needs to be destroyed and Elon needs to be destroyed. 617-266-6868. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
I mean, this is really the ultimate Bruce, have you ever heard anything more insane than this in your whole life? Magic money computers, Bruce. Magic money. They just print up magic money.
Magic money computers ought to pay Elon Musk back for rescuing those whatever, how many people did he save up there that were stuck there that were going to languish and die. And now they're burning down they're burning his cars. This is what they did to Trump. And sort of, they turned on him. He was the greatest thing since sliced bread back when the day when he had the TV show, and they loved him in Hollywood, and they loved Elon, and blah 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 blah. Well, just look at where Hollywood and look where all the colleges and right down to the elementary schools, they're teaching our kids to hate America. It's just unbelievable, Jeff. These people are so out there like Pluto, and it's beyond. How can you even? I can't even comprehend the amount of money that gets wasted, and it doesn't get wasted. It goes right in their bank accounts. That's why they're teed off, and they want them stifled, just like Archie Bunker would say, to either stifle it, either. They want us just to shut up and lay down. And these are communists, Jeff. Make no mistake about it. Forget about socialists. They're worse than socialists. These are terrible people. And I just want to say this. There's a lot of people in this country that know what time it is. And it's time for us to open our eyes to these people and stop what's going on. And there's people like me that suffer over this. And I'm just a little guy. They don't even care about me. They just want what's for them. It's all about them. Look at that guy over there, the little midget that we sent all that money over to Ukraine. Where did that...
Oh, they stole that. No, you're dead on. And I want all of you to think about this, okay? You're late on your utility bill payment. Or, you owe the government, let's say, a couple $100 in taxes. Oh, my God, they dropped the hammer. But for themselves, steal. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, many of you are texting the Kuhner Man, 70470, and you're making a really good point, which is, Jeff, the so-called magic money machines that Elon and DOGE have discovered. In any other context, that's white-collar corporate crime and fraud. Yes, of course it is. If this was done in the private sector, I don't care, by a hedge fund or a financial investment firm, or I don't care, take any corporation where you just literally say, how do we cook the books here? So we've stolen $400 million. It's son of a gun. So it says 2.3 billion, but it's got to show 2.7. Well, just, remove the point, take away the 3, put in another point, put in the 7. I look at you, you look at me, and we just press the magic money machine. And the magic money machine suddenly says, yeah, we just found $400 million. No problem. There it is. It's naked embezzlement. It's fraud. It's naked fraud. Now, I'm telling you, if this was a CEO or a vice president or a CFO of a company, they'd be in handcuffs for 50 years. This is a Bernie Madoff style Ponzi scheme. Except it's our money. And you know what happens to Ponzi schemes? And this is exactly Elon and Trump's point. I'm going to quote Elon verbatim. If we don't get our house in order, we're going to go bankrupt as a country. That's Ponzi schemes. They just, they collapse. And then the whole company goes under. Everybody loses their jobs. Everybody loses their pensions. Everybody loses their benefits. Everything. Their 401, everything they've worked for. Bang, kaput. It's over. So what I'm saying is that's why Trump and Elon are saying, we've got to find all of this corruption, the fraud, the waste, the abuse, all of it. And we're talking trillions of dollars. A, it'll balance the budget, and B, it'll get the country back on the right track, on solid economic financial footing. That's why they're going to torch every Tesla dealership they can. By the way, another update. It's update now every 20 minutes. Boston is going to be ground zero on March 29th. It's going to happen in other cities. Don't get me wrong. But apparently now you've got teachers and activists here in the Boston area that say they're going to hammer the Tesla dealerships, and they're going to hammer them hard. So get ready. Get ready. Where's Michelle Wu? Where's Maura Healey? Where's the Attorney General? I'm talking about the state Attorney General. This is completely and utterly unacceptable. And again, if you drive a Tesla, I'm urging you, keep your car off the streets, keep your car out of any public building or shopping mall or parking lot. Keep it at home, preferably if you have one in the garage. That's Saturday, March 29th. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick. This is from 917. Jeff, This is unbelievable, everything you have been discussing this morning. So let me get this straight. This is going to be the Democrats' midterm message. Vote for us. We support burning Tesla dealerships, swatting conservatives, and violence in the streets. Yep. That's going to be their message. I'm telling you. That's why politically, Trump has them right where he wants them. It's now an 80-20, maybe even a 90-10 country. Ann in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Ann, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I just want. Hi. So I'm actually calling on a different name than I usually do because actually they are going after other people, but like gang stalking and things like that. And I think they trace people through their cell phone, but I'm not going to get into that because what I wanted to talk about was, I believe his name was Drew. He talked about the phone calls that they had, or Laura Luma. Well, I listened to the very first one that they had. For some reason, I got the text messages for it, so I listened. And it was back in, I think, December or January after President Trump was elected. And it was hosted by a woman named Ashley Woodard Henderson. Do you know who that is?
The name rings a bell, but who is she, Ann?
She's involved with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But she's very radical. I will tell you that.
Yes, very extreme.
Anyway,
yes.
Very. And then, Raskin had spoke, and I believe a woman senator. But anyways, what they called for, among many things that they talked about, they're absolute extremists. These aren't the regular people out there. These are high radical extremists. They're as bad as like if you had an extremist religious person. I mean, they're out of their minds. Actually, they called for, and I wrote it down because it actually really scared me: militant, disrupting, organizing campaigns. Those who have power and those who don't. And that's really what they're going after. And, I have a friend. I'm not a Tesla girl. I like Elon Musk. Don't get me wrong, but I'm more of a drill gas person, But she works really hard to pay for her Tesla. I've been in the car. It's really nice. And she doesn't know anything about this politics stuff. She, like myself, we just work hard to pay our bills. And these people, mostly kids that are doing this, behind closed doors, I happen to know the hierarchy of this. It's like a pyramid. And somewhere in the middle, they call these people that do this stuff useless idiots because they know they're just being used and they're stupid. So they're called useless idiots because they go out and they get them to manipulate to do these stupid things, and they get arrested, they get killed. And in the long run, who gains in the long run? And that's the question that you have to ask. Who's behind all this? Like the Raskins and the people that are, by the way, of course, Gavin Newsom had another calling. It's like they were gathering their troops. And they told them, please have, organize things in your living room.
Oh, you're right, Ann. It's like they're organizing and mobilizing their troops. Because for them now, this is war. Except they're not troops, they're terrorists. And that's now what the Democratic Party and the left have become. They've now become mouthpieces for terrorism. Since Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Okay, lines are jammed. Just give me a few minutes. All of you need to hear this. Trust me. You want to see the EDS, the Elon derangement syndrome, right? Like the Trump derangement syndrome. You want to see how insane this hatred of Elon has now gotten? So, as you know, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat, former pilot, in fact, was an astronaut himself, a space shuttle. So Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, made a big deal. I think maybe this was last week? He's selling his Tesla. He doesn't want the Tesla anymore. Even though initially he was patting himself on the back and, Teslas are great cars. They're going to save the planet, blah, blah, blah. Now, no. I hate Elon. To just show you how much I hate Elon, I'm going to sell my Tesla. Everybody should unload their Tesla. Well, I want you to listen now, because Elon Musk was asked point blank, why were those two astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, why were they stranded on the space station, marooned, for 9 months? Couldn't you have saved them a couple of months ago? Couldn't you have saved them 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Listen to Elon's answer. Incredible. Roll cut 100. Mike.
We definitely offered to return the astronauts earlier. There's no question about that. The astronauts were only supposed to be there for 8 days, and they've been there for almost 10 months. So obviously that doesn't make any sense. SpaceX could have brought the astronauts back after a few months at most, and we made that offer to the Biden administration. It was rejected for political reasons, and that's just a fact.
Now, what were the political reasons? By then, Elon had backed Trump. And so if Elon, or SpaceX, to be more accurate, his company, went up and rescued Butch and Sonny, it would be seen rightly as a big feather in Elon's cap, and indirectly as a boost and a benefit to Trump. Now, we're talking about two human beings now, two Americans, who were only supposed to be there 8 days. Now they're left month after month after month after month, twisting in the wind, literally in outer space, marooned, with microgravity eating away at their bloodstream, at their bones, at the minerals in their bones. I mean, they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And Biden, what, was just going to let them die? Now, I mentioned Mark Kelly. His brother, Scott Kelly, okay, the brother of Mark Kelly, who's selling his Tesla. Scott Kelly is also, like his brother Mark, a former pilot and an astronaut, again, on the space shuttle. Now, listen to this. And by the way, Scott Kelly, like his brother, is a rabid Democrat. Hates Elon Musk. You want to see how crazy these people have become? This is Scott Kelly now on Fox. Remember, the initial mission was for 8 days. They were stranded there for nearly 10 months. Scott Kelly is actually arguing they were never stranded. No. They were never marooned. No. What, Elon a hero? What hero? Roll cut 101, Mike.
Watching the previous, your previous program, The Five, and they're talking about abandoned and they were stranded by President Biden. That is not true. They have had a spacecraft up there since September that was going to bring them home. They've always had a ride home, and the decision to keep them up there had nothing to do with politics. It was just the fact that you need crew members to operate the space station. And they were the two that were there, and you had to send up a vehicle with 2 empty seats. So the safest thing to do was to just leave them there. But they weren't stranded. They always had a ride home.
They weren't stranded? They were always having a ride home? What are you, on drugs? They themselves said, Butch and Sonny, we were stranded. We wanted to come home after 8 days. And then, by the way, what are you going to do? Send up a ship with 2 empty seats? Well, guess what? That's exactly what SpaceX under Elon did a couple days ago. SpaceX Dragon. That was the rocket they sent to rescue Butch and Sonny. It had 2 empty seats. You pick them up, you put them in the 2 empty seats, and you bring them back down to Earth. I mean, now you're just lying through your teeth. Are you making a fool of yourself? But just A, to protect Joey, and B, Elon's no hero. Well, who did he save? They weren't stranded. They were never stranded. Listen now to Butch. Okay? Who are you going to believe? The former astronaut or the one who was actually in space at the space station, stranded for nearly 10 months. Listen now to Butch Wilmore. Roll the cut, Mike.
My question relates to Elon Musk has said that he made the offer to bring you guys back earlier and that it was denied. My first question is that true? And if so, what would that have looked like? Was he offering to make another flight, push seats on another flight? Could you give us some background there?
I can only say that Mr. Musk, what he says is absolutely factual. We have no information on that, though, whatsoever. What was offered, what was not offered, who it was offered to, how that process went. That's information that we simply don't have. So I believe him. I don't know all those details, and I don't think any of us really can give you the answer that maybe that you would be hoping for.
So, in other words, we were stuck in outer space, so I can't tell you what Joe Biden did or didn't do. All I can tell you is Elon said, you guys want to get out of there. We can get you out of there like months ago. And we said, yes. Elon offered and it was turned down. And we were stranded. And I'm telling you, they're very lucky to be alive. Just very quick, as the lines are jammed. Did you see how pale they looked? I mean, I'm so happy they're back. Please don't get me wrong. But I mean, and especially Sunny Williams. Oh my God, she looked in really bad shape. Smiling, of course, to be back. But I mean, and their health is not good. Another month or two, they would have been dead. They would have been dead. 617-266-6868. If no one else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Elon Musk is an American hero. And through his actions, he saved those two astronauts. And to all the liberals and moonbats out there, put that in your crack pipe and smoke it. Lorenzo in South Boston. Thanks for holding, Lorenzo, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for taking my call. I seen all this stuff when I was in Europe in the early 90s. We were actually having breakfast, and a van pulls up, and it destroys this guy's business. And I asked the guys, I said, well, how come that's going on? They said, well, because he's funding a candidate that they don't like. So this was going on then. This is all, and you mentioned Joseph McCarthy. Joseph McCarthy called us out. He was the people's candidate, and the deep state had to take him out. But he said everything that's happening today. He said these communist activists, they're in our government, they're in our school system, they're in Hollywood, they're in our judicial system. Everything he said is right, and all this. There's some key players here. We know Act Blue's running the Democratic Party. You got their guys like Soros, Gates, right? Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, no, you're completely right, Lorenzo. Act Blue is their campaign arm. That's their pipeline. And that's where they send out the cash, and that's where they give out the orders. So you're right. It's Act Blue right to the Democrats. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Sandy and Mike are urging me to remind all of you, the great listeners of Kuhner Country, we have completed, all three of us, our brackets, our picks for the March Madness College Basketball Tournament. And we'd like to invite all of you, take a look at mine, take a look at Mike's, take a look at Sandy's, and you tell us what you think. Who do you think got it right, got it wrong? Whose predictions you think are going to be more accurate? So they're up on X, on the Jeff Kuhner, on the Kuhner Report handle. So it's right there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, KUH, N as in National ER, at the Kuhner Report. Or if you want to go online, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, where all my columns are. Well, just click right there, and you'll see my picks, Sandy's picks, and of course, Mike's picks. Our brackets are up. I've got Florida winning this over Duke in the final. But anyway, I'd like for all of you to weigh in. A lot of you have already been texting me throughout the last almost 4 hours, and you're saying your money's on the Kuhner man. You like my bracket better than either Mike's or Sandy's, which is really hurting their feelings, but let that go. They're not rooting for me on X? So I'm not even mentioned. Holy mackerel. Okay, so apparently on X, the comments, it's Sandy leading over Mike, and I'm not even a distant third. I'm a non-third. They said that my picks are so bad, it's not even worth discussing. Are you guys pulling my chain? Mike, are you guys kidding me here or what? No. Okay, wow. Well, okay, anyway, geez. Can somebody take a look at the pics and like mine? I mean, I'm just asking. Kenny in Weston. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome. Kenny? Okay. I don't know if he's at I don't know if he's partying at his house or at a nightclub or where the hell Kenny is. Carol in Bridgewater. Thanks for holding, Carol, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Carol.
I just think right now we need to look at everything that you talked about today, and we need to have the Department of Justice look into, or maybe the Treasury agents, along with the Cash Patel and other people into the agencies to investigate and prosecute. Charges need to be, put upon people, and people need to pay the price, or it will never stop. We need to also use, I don't know if it's the DOJ, immigration, revoke Soros' citizenship like they did in Hungary, and investigate his son, who's also with Uma, Hillary's, little friend.
Yeah, Huma Abedin. No, that's right. Carol, I believe they're engaged. I don't know if they've gotten married yet, but I believe they're engaged, correct?
Right.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's your alliance between Hillary and Soros. Right through Huma Abedin and the son, Alex. There it is. I mean, they don't even hide it anymore, Carol.
Oh, no. And it's just blatant, and we need to, look into things. Everyone that's being hired by Soros, because they take the elitist sons and children from colleges, and they have the simple-minded, people that they incite to go do this work. They don't probably actually get paid. The leaders do. And they're the typical activists. And, we need to call each department, Pam Bondi, everyone, leave messages, if we can, that we, the people, want them to do this further, push it all the way through to protect our country. Otherwise, we're doomed with all talk. It'd be Jim Jordan instead of them going after it. And maybe we need to look at, for what's happening in Boston coming up, we may need to call in the FBI or, ask Trump to send the National Guard, because Healy and Mayor Wu won't do anything about it. The colleges, my nephew was radicalized when he changed to journalism at BU. So he used to be a God-fearing kid.
Yeah, no, Carol, look, the universities now are hotbeds of radicalism. There's no question. And look, you're right. I think Trump now, at a minimum, needs to address the country and warn everybody what's going to be coming next Saturday. And Mayor Wu, Maura Healey here in Massachusetts, but all across the country, mayors, governors, they need to tell these people, you start burning down dealerships or torching cars, we're going to arrest you, and we're going to put you in prison, and we're going to charge you as a domestic terrorist. Because if we don't, it's going to get out of control. They are going to run wild. Jay, thank you for that call, Carol. Jay in New Hampshire. Jay, I hate to do this to you. 1 minute, go.
Oh, hey, Jeff. Good to speak with you. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible regarding the SpaceX thing. I completely agree with that. Elon, without Elon, they would have been stranded up there. There was a crew rotation from Crew 9 in September. They're supposed
to... Mike, you're cutting him off already? Boy, Mike. Jay, you're completely right. Without Elon, they would still be there. And I don't think they would have ever come home. And on that note, bye-bye.